Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Sean Walchef. This is a Cali Barbecue Media production. We are coming to you live from the Restaurant Transformation Tour in Los Angeles at the Wiltern Theater. Restaurant 365 has put on this incredible event. And for us, we believe that it's so important. The whole thesis of this podcast, the thesis of this show, is digital hospitality. Every business needs to be digital first, and every business needs to be in the hospitality business. For me, it's very exciting to be able to be with industry leaders. You gentlemen just came off stage. So there is a reason why you've been selected among the 400 people, the thousands of restaurant operators, tens of thousands of restaurant operators. You work for Restaurant 365. You're the CEO of Dine Technology. Why were you selected to mic drop the stage?
Well, I guess being a sponsor helped.
We love honesty. True. Honesty is a great way to start the show.
Yeah, so look, we've been along for the ride with Restaurant 365 through since the early days. I don't know, maybe it started in 2013, 2014, but it really was not a usable, application.
Take the jacket off.
Until 2016. And I got into the restaurant business almost by accident, as most people do. And since the day I entered the business, I've become a real student and junkie of restaurant technology and accounting, and understanding it from a perspective of, like, I want to be in this business. I want to be as successful as possible. I want to please the guest. I want the highest sales, the best food cost, the most optimized labor cost. And I saw this application, Restaurant 365. I'm like, I'd sold off a lot of my restaurants. We had 6 left, and I'm like, this is really good technology, and this can help me do what I've done for close to 30 years. With a lot less manpower. It has all the features. We bought really expensive we bought an accounting system. Last accounting system I bought in maybe a few years before Restaurant 365. I think it cost us $150,000.
Really?
In the software and implementation and customization.
Wow.
And here I could, for a couple $100 a month per location, I could buy this software that actually did it better. And I could just throw them. You think back to 2016, you could throw away the server room. I felt like I was a slave to that server room. Every time the servers went down, virtual machine went down, you had to keep up with the technology. I'm like, we can get rid of that. I won't get a call, I'm out doing something important, someone's calling me that I can't get the server to boot, can't get the accounting, can't get the checks paid. So, it's been a pretty incredible experience watching the company grow, being very involved. Sometimes aggravated, sometimes opinionated.
Yeah. Honesty, leading with honesty is a good way to go.
Sometimes I think, very cordially suggestive, and it's really become something awesome. It's allowed us to build a business that's I think extremely valuable to our clients, that has been really become like part of a major ecosystem. Like, you've got Restaurant 365 at the core. And now you've got, we were talking about Toast is taking over the world. So now we've become real experts in Toast and Toast Payroll and Lunchbox and all the services that have been in the 3PD orders and RAM credit cards, and we build integrations and we pull all this stuff together. And we, as this world keeps getting more complex for restaurants, and sales are gradually going up, but labor costs are going up and food costs. How do we survive? So it's kind of like we keep getting these curveballs, and it's pretty interesting subject matter for us to figure out how to keep reinventing the system and how all the pieces work together. So, and it's been it's been a great ride.
So Scott, let the listeners know and the people that are watching, give us the elevator pitch. What's Dine Technologies? What do you guys do?
So Dine Technology, let's start with the name. So Dine, I've been in the restaurant business for 30 years. I left practicing law at UCLA, graduate. We had an idea, and we created a public company, raised some money as young kids, and we went out, set sail, building restaurants. And we probably did a dozen brands, maybe 2/3 of them franchised, 1/3 were our own concepts. And along the way, it was always had really good accounting systems, never used QuickBooks. And really good tech, really good, back office systems, polling POS systems since early on, and met the folks at Restaurant 365 back in 2016. Got with John Moody, said, I really wanted, guys, tell me how I can buy in. I need to get in here. And I wasn't persuasive enough. I needed to try harder. But John's
You're an attorney. You're an attorney. You aren't persuasive enough? Come on.
I can't.
He's pretty persuasive.
My partners and I
see.
can't sell you any, but let's think about what we can do. So here's some options. How about outsourced accounting? I'm like, let me think about that. Let me do some due diligence. And I'm like, yeah, I think there could be a market for this. And so we jumped in, and I thought I could use my experience in running restaurants, running accounting, financial department restaurants, using all kinds of tech, and we set sail, and we're finally really now seeing the kind of the actual coming to life of what the vision was 5 years ago. The one thing that I didn't really think about that has really become a big part of what we're doing is the fact that Dine Technology would not just be a company who mastered other people's technology,
yes,
but we were going to have to build our own technology. And I think today it's like learning to speak Spanish, right?
Yes.
Learning to develop technology and software. Maybe I don't code, but I write specifications and I dream up things and have teams that work with us. But there will never be, never. It'll be a long time before all these systems can all talk together.
Yep.
But you need to be able to bring these things together. Restaurant 365 has some good features that enable you to integrate, but you still often have to figure out, how am I going to get them to talk together? How am I going to optimize? And so it's been, I knew we'd have to hire great people. I knew we'd have to master Restaurant 365. I knew we'd have to master a lot of the other parts of the tech stack. I knew we'd have to coach folks on what to buy and what not to buy and help them vet it out. I didn't realize that we'd actually have to build software, but that's actually been one of the most fun parts of where we've gone. I spend about half my time right now just working with our developers on developing software, and 2/3 of it is developed specifically to work with Restaurant 365.
That's very interesting. Mark, for you, first of all, how long have you been with Restaurant 365?
5.5 years.
So for people that listen to this show, one of the things that we lean on is story. Story is so important. It's why we're compelled to listen to a podcast. It's why we're compelled to come to a conference. It's why we're compelled to bring a company into our tech stack. What was the Restaurant 365 story that compelled you to say, I want all in on this company?
So
this is going to be my career path.
It's my origin story, right? If we're going to get MCU on this.
That's
my origin
right.
story is, I was running a restaurant group here called Border Grill Restaurant Group, Mary Sue Milliken and Susan Fenneker. We had implemented C2IT very early days. We were working with James McGeehee, who spoke earlier today.
Yep. Oh,
we interviewed him.
We were super early adopters of C2IT. And I moved into the corporate office and sort of oversaw our tech stack, and we implemented Intact and Bill.com and Hot Schedules and Paychecks. So all these disparate systems that we had to get to talk to each other. It's the same problem we have today, right?
Yep.
We're trying to get better at keeping everything unified in a single solution. And we hired an accounting firm to come in and clean up our books because we had been on QuickBooks. We made that mistake for 25 years, and our books were a mess.
Yes.
So this firm came in and cleaned up the books, and they had a restaurant management division, and I took our tech stack and basically applied it to their restaurant management division and went and did restaurant management for about 45 local California restaurants. And at the time, Morgan Harris, it was still in startup mode, he tried to sell me Restaurant 365.
I like it.
And
How was he at sales?
He was great.
Was he a good negotiator?
I mean, Morgan is still the master. He still gets up at our SKOs and gets everybody fired up to sell the product. He is I've never seen somebody that passionate about restaurant accounting.
Oh my God! And the first user
he
group.
thinks it's sexy.
Oh my God! Remember, what did he do at the original New York user group where he got that startup thing he did? He got everybody yelling.
Three banger?
The three banger. Yeah. What was the three
He
banger?
do the three banger.
Yeah. Tell me, what does he do?
So this is something he picked up at like his son's basketball game in high school.
Okay.
So rather than applaud, which is just kind of sloppy and messy, although clearly works in a space like the Wiltern. So today we've been applauding. But normally at our user groups, we've been in hotel conference rooms, board rooms, and it's just a three banger on three. And he'll go 1, 2, 3, and everybody just does 3 claps. And so, if somebody's underwhelming, they get a 1 banger. Like,
okay, one banger and a 3 banger.
Maybe a 2 banger. But 3 bangers were like, this is the first event we haven't had the 3 bangers. So rip the 3 bangers.
Well, it's not over, so maybe he's going to close with it.
Maybe he might.
He'll bring it out tomorrow when we're in the hotel boardrooms doing our product sessions.
Yes.
He'll probably pull the 3 banger back out. now.
You might have to have a whole episode just called the Three Banger.
The Three Banger.
Yeah.
We'll have to bring. I'll make him do a TikTok video. A Three Banger TikTok.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I will definitely do that because did I get Tony to do one? When I interviewed Tony at the NRA event in Chicago, we interviewed him for this podcast, and I didn't get him on TikTok, so I need to get both of them.
Yeah,
they both
cool.
need to get on TikTok.
Oh, they'll do it.
Three Bangers on TikTok.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
But clearly, I didn't buy the product.
But you bought in. What
I
was
started hammering him with all these questions about, because I had been using the main issue I had as an operator with C2 I loved it as a product.
Yeah.
But I'd be looking at my operations statement, and I'd know what my food cost was week over week, according to the system I was using. It would scrub through the accounting cycle. I'd get my P&L 2 weeks later, and I'd have a different number. That's never going to happen in our product because it's unified.
I don't think people really understand that. I don't know how important what he just said is.
Please.
Well, because that was my bonus.
Well, so, there's three main metrics in the restaurant business: sales, food cost, labor cost. Always has been, always will be, I think. Until we have robots do everything, it'll be robot costs, I guess.
Loyalty is now the fourth.
Yeah. So you have this traditional back office reporting where you're bringing your invoices in and figuring what your cost of food, your cost of goods is. And then traditionally you would then, it's a separate system, so you'd have to export those invoices and get them into accounting. But it never worked perfectly. The exports might be messed up, that people would buy stuff and it would never go into the reporting system and go in the accounting system. And so people would say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get my bonus. I'm at 28%." And then the accountant gives them the report at the end of the 31%, no bonus. And you're like, "What do you mean no bonus?"
Yeah.
And then you counting on that money.
And then if you have to ask, how do you reconcile the two of them? Then someone's going to have to sit there for a month trying to figure it out, and you can never figure it out.
And that's the hardest part, because by the time you get to the point of analyzing a P&L in that sort of old school cycle, you don't remember what happened 3-4 weeks ago.
It's too long.
It's too long.
It's too long.
I need to be reacting in the now, in the present. And that was what attracted me to Restaurant 365. That, and also doing month-end close for 45 restaurants that were, some were on QuickBooks, some were on Intact, some were on, say, knowing that in Restaurant 365, if I was doing my daily, weekly, monthly tasks, I just bank rec and my P&L's done. To get a P&L in your hands 2 days after month end that's unheard of. Or it was. It's not now. It's pretty common with our software, but back in the day.
For me, one of the exciting things having the technology that we have in our pockets with podcasts and TikTok videos and LinkedIn is that we can connect with the humans behind technology, that we can develop relationships with the people that you're building your own tech, literally to work with Restaurant 365, but you're also loud and vocal with the people that you work with at Restaurant 365. Why is it important for restaurant owners to not only take surveys from their tech companies, but also say, hey, why aren't you building this? Or how can you build this better?
Well, it is important. I think, it's complicated though. So most people who develop restaurants are usually the type of people that are not typically financial people.
Yes.
And so it's just like something typically it's like, oh yeah, we need to have P&Ls.
Yeah.
Basically it
you
still
mean
happens.
inventory's not sexy?
No, look, if you're doing sales and your bank account's going up, and you're like, it's all good.
Yeah.
I don't care, taxes, P&Ls, and we're paying the bills, we're doing well, and then all of a sudden you hit a bad streak and the bank account's going down. You're like, what's going on? And you can't explain it. And now most other businesses, you're like, you start a business, the first thing you do is you got to try to figure out are we building something to make money? What are my costs? What are my sales? What? And it just, I don't know, it's just that in this industry, it's been the way it evolved. And so if you actually pulled it back and said, okay, if you invest this, you're going to get that. The this to that ratio is massive, but trying to get people to understand that, it's a little painful. You have to spend some extra time, but once you spend the extra time, then you spend less time and you make more money. But to get a lot of restaurant folks into the mode of understanding, would you invest $10,000 to make $500,000? Of course you would. But a lot of restaurant folks, they don't feel comfortable. They don't really think it's going to happen. When if you went through the use cases, you went through the case studies, you would see it almost always happens, but it's just hard for people to buy into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
slowly and surely that's changing.
Running our barbecue business for the last 15 years, I remember the first 4 years of how hard we struggled. We struggled to make payroll, we struggled to pay our bills, we didn't know what we were doing, and it was reading industry articles, finding out what other people were doing, and I mean, there was a line that just because you have a busy restaurant doesn't mean you have a profitable business. Yeah. And it was kind of like this aha moment of, if you don't know your prime costs, you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. If you don't have weekly profit and loss statements, you have no chance of ever making a success. What do you think when you meet restaurant owners that have the aha moment once they're actually empowered with the technology? Have you had any stories of the things that they've been able to do by bringing on something like Restaurant 365?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate you can still lose money on $16 million in annual revenue.
Crazy.
I've seen it, right? But it's typically because they're not paying attention, they're asleep at the wheel, and they don't have a tech stack in place or a partner in place that's going to help steer them in the right way. So, do you have a good aha moment?
Oh my God! So so many.
Lots of aha moments.
And it's almost geometric. So the longer we work with a company, typically the better it gets. It's painful. The first year is painful. Change a lot of things. It doesn't happen overnight. But let's just take a group that I met when I first started up. There's a group in New York City called Naya. Great guy, Hadi Kaffouri, originally from Lebanon, came to the United States as 15 years ago. Entrepreneurial family, starts a Lebanese Mediterranean restaurant, mildly successful. Then he realized he should do a quick casual, and he starts building. He builds a few of these Lebanese quick casual shawarma bowls. Amazing, really great recipes, great quality, really fast, amazing at delivery. And we met him, but he had a bookkeeper, a woman who would come every other week and pick up the invoices and produce some financial statements. And he's like, he was thinking of taking some equity partners, and he's like, I really need to get real accounting. I need to do the food cost and my labor cost. And we work with them for maybe 4 or 5 years, and it took time because they were not, they work really hard. They were lean on the overhead. So just to get inventory in and weekly food costs per store, get their commissary, use the commissary module to get their commissary figured out, how much the commissary costs, how to allocate that to the stores, get them on Restaurant 365 labor schedule, give them targets of what to schedule to, look at your actual versus scheduled every day, which is something I asked Restaurant 365 to create. I was pretty vocal, and they did, so that you paint this picture of labor cost and you say, I want to run 22%. You build a schedule 22%, then you check every day and make sure that whatever you schedule is actually what they work. So in that whole evolution, they sold a majority interest to a private equity firm. Hadi still is a major investor in the company. He's the founder, is the CEO. But now it's like every week the prime cost report comes out on Thursday.
Awesome.
And consistently food costs, it's a struggle. It's harder today because of inflation, but they're at 29% food costs. They're at 25 to 26% labor costs. Their stores have volumes that, for a 5-day-a-week business district in New York, that are probably hard to imagine. And it's still tough. They still have a lot of fees, a lot of delivery, or whatever. But his margins are sharp. And it's just like, it becomes like clockwork. And now, if we have 1 week where the food cost or labor cost is a little high, everybody gears into motion and they kind of know how to fix it quickly. Unfortunately, they're not a great candidate for actual versus theoretical. Online they are, but it's like a Chipotle type of line where you
build your own.
Yeah, they're very fast, so they ring up at the end. You've got 15 toppings, you can get all 15, but they do like 2,000 tickets. It's something crazy. They have only one cashier because the cashier just has to ring bowl, and they move the line so quickly. But there's another interesting part of the story. So we finally figured out a way that we were going to actually be able to do actual versus theoretical, and then Grubhub messed us up. What a surprise. So Grubhub, for years people are trying to figure out how do we get these. We got to get Grubhub and Uber, we got to get them into the POS. So there's a whole cottage industry in the companies that get that stuff into the POS. It started out by scraping emails, and then they finally came up with the APIs. Great. We're cruising along. We work for like 6 months. We get all the recipes. We figure a way, even though it's cafeteria style, that we're going to get this thing to work. We analyze exactly what percentage of for every 100 customers, how many get every topping. We have it all figured out. We know what the online is. And Grubhub moves, they have a thing called group order, where in big offices in New York, they share 50 people, it goes around and everybody can order, get delivered at the same time. And they move it to a new platform, their catering platform, and they're like, nobody can integrate it with. There's no reports and there's no API. And I'm like, that's just a curveball. Like, anyone who's in the ecosystem of restaurants, a major company, like, they got to cooperate. They have to make the data available. It's just it just so messes you up. What things cost is one thing, and we can debate, like, everybody's entitled to charge whatever they want. You want the service, you pay for it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's almost an obligation today. You got to provide the data. You got to let people use the data to run their business efficiently. And it's I think that's the one thing that we all have to really work hard on, is that everybody has to figure out, like, everyone has a part in the ecosystem, and we have to figure out, it's not easy, and maybe you can't do it yourself, but you got to let people get in there and figure out how to tie these things together. It's just essential, for the margins are so tough these days.
Yeah, you can't be building walled gardens in this climate. It's just not cost effective, and there's still people doing it. I mean, we're vendor agnostic. We'll work with anybody.
Yep.
I mean, we built the QuickBooks integration.
Yeah.
We're an accounting platform.
Yeah.
But if you just want to use
That means a lot,
inventory and
yeah.
use QuickBooks, we're going to let you do that. Like, we if you want to work with us, we are happy to work with you.
Well, I mean, it's
we want to get as much data.
the foundational philosophy. It gives you such a competitive advantage. I mean, we talk about barbecue the same way that the craft beer industry in San Diego grew. It wasn't because Ballast Point was competing with Stone. It was all of these breweries sharing secrets with each other, coming together, which is why they made such a strong brewery community. Same thing we do with barbecue. We celebrate all the other barbecue restaurants in San Diego. We bring them together. We do amateur barbecue contests, professional contests. But some of our greatest tech partners that we use, they're not scared to work with other people.
Right.
They understand that by working with other leaders in the business, you actually make your core products that much stronger.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you guys were just on stage. What is the one question that you did not ask this thought leader right next to you? Give him the toughest question for our viewers, all the people that get to hear this. The one question that we can take away.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you. What right now, what's the biggest pain point for your clients? From a tech standpoint.
Pain point for our clients?
Or for you guys?
I think from the client's perspective, it's frustration that they can't, like, why isn't this easier? It's not. Right. Why can't we build a food cost system easier?
Why doesn't it run my
Why
restaurant?
can't it? Yeah. Like, I have a labor schedule. Why can't it schedule for me? Some things you just can't eliminate the hard work. So like, you can build great labor scheduler. I did it myself. It took me a year for a concept I owned, where I was literally yelled at by the franchisor that my labor was too high. Franchisors usually tell it's too low. They want more sales. And we had to study it for a year. We had to sit in there and watch how much sales we were doing and how many people we had. And it's complex. You need 4 people, but if there's a new hire, you need 5 people. If you got really good people, so it doesn't eliminate the hard work. It just means that once you do the hard work, you can actually get it to work. I think for me, the biggest challenge is I didn't realize how difficult it would be to build the standard operating procedures and the detailed task list to get everybody on point. We like to hire people. I tell people all the time, we're a great place if you want to learn and understand. We're a terrible place to work if you want to memorize. You got to understand what you're doing, so you make the right decisions because you understand. Yeah. But it's still, trying to get everybody to do kind of the same thing all the time, so is a lot harder than I thought. And we hired someone, Deanna, about a year and a half ago. A great woman who's, I hired her with the thought she'd become the CEO. She earned it. She is the COO.
Is she here?
Yeah, Deanna's here. She's
awesome.
Amazing. And
there you go. Shout
she
out.
spends most of her time developing standard operating procedures, detailed to work specifically with Restaurant 365 and our other softwares, but it's literally do this, do that, press this button, do that, think about this. And then we use a really good program called ClickUp. Have you guys heard of ClickUp?
Yeah, I've heard of ClickUp. Yeah.
So ClickUp, like, we've used a lot of these different project management softwares. None of them really worked for us, but ClickUp is it's a task management software system. they advertise like in airports and train
Yep.
stations. They say like, save a day a week or something, and you kind of do. But it's really good at developing task lists, detailed task lists, recurring task lists that with all different types of permutations, but with great visibility for people sitting above, and great automation. So you can really see, someone can sit over 10 accounts and see what's been done and what hasn't been done. And we have these automations. So literally, if you're working on something and the DSS file, the polling file, and the POS there's a problem, you can click a button called needs help, and then your supervisor will then get on their list, and it'll say, I couldn't do this because this isn't mapped properly. Can I get some help or something? So building out, I just never realized that it was going to be this challenging to actually build all those SOPs.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes. And once you do build it though, and people get into it, it makes it so much easier to hire new people, to move people around, and I always thought, when I talked to all the senior folks at Restaurant 365, I said, you guys build great technology, but really the end result of what you need to do is not just build this great technology, but really be kind of a learning tool for people to learn how to do great accounting for restaurants, to guide them through the way to do that, to understand that it's not just don't build this because XYZ customer is a big customer and they're going to buy 200 licenses or 500 licenses, but think about what are the best practices, how should this be done, and guide people, because that, people, it's valuable if you have this great software tool that can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's more valuable if you can actually teach people the processes and say, this is what you do, and this is why you can do it so easily in this application. So I think that's really where this is going to go, and why 5 or 10 years from now, this software will just be like every restaurant. I literally think, maybe not every, but most restaurants will be using Restaurant 365.
Yeah, it's amazing to me when you think, almost 30,000 restaurants that you guys are in. Toast is in 60,000 restaurants. According to Toast, is 850,000 restaurants in the United States, and I don't know how many restaurants globally, but all of the things that we talk about, we believe so much in storytelling and technology. We're on Clubhouse, we're on podcasts, we're on TikTok. We're talking to restaurant owners all over the globe. Delivery is important no matter where you are on earth. Yeah. I'm literally going to be in Bulgaria next week having same conversations that I have here in Los Angeles, the same conversations I had in Chicago at the National Restaurant Association. I'll be talking to that same restaurant owner about online ordering, about fixing their point of sale system, about what kind of accounting system. So it's like, this stuff matters, and it's hard for us being on the inside, at this event where everybody's, we're playing the game within the game. It's hard to think like we're still early.
Yeah,
we're still so early.
Not wrong. Yeah.
But that's what's exciting. So I just wanted to thank both of you gentlemen for your time. Where can people follow up, ask you any questions?
We'll sure. So we just launched a new website. I think it's pretty awesome.
There you go.
DineTechnology.com. It's
beautiful.
Got everything on there. It's got our contact, our backgrounds. It's got links to our software, and call us. We don't really care if people call us and just want some advice. We're not looking for our services. We love the networking. You never know. You help someone, they help someone else, they help you back. So I think building, there are 30,000 restaurants. From what I've seen, like the great software applications in America have hit 100, 125,000 restaurants. That's typically when you get up into I think it's the top 20 chains control, 70% of locations. But so when you look at, although there's 150,000 addressable sites, if we're not talking about the Taco Bells, the McDonald's, and you're doing work with some of those now, but we're talking about the bulk of the independent restaurants or franchisees of concepts. They're already there, but within a couple of years, you'll be at 100,000, 150,000, and then it'll just be like, there will be no other answer.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
So how can people connect with you?
We just launched a new website as well.
Restaurant 365. I'm talking about you personally.
Me personally?
Because everyone wants a guy behind a guy.
Yeah, I am the guy behind the guys now. So
the guys behind the guys.
So
you can make things happen.
So I'm technically a solutions architect now.
Oh,
so
solutions architect. I like that.
I support the customer success management team. So
digital hospitality specialist.
Basically. So if somebody's got a high level need, reporting, or getting a new module up and running, or trying to figure out a new or unique way to use the product or the software, That's where I sort of come in. I bridge the gap between customer success, product development, engineering, sort of kind of project manage any sort of high-level needs that anybody.
Perfect. Commercial for Mark. He is literally awesome. He's one of the. There are very few people. No, it's true. There are very few people that really understand the full scope of Restaurant 365. It's hard. There's so many different components, and there's literally probably a handful of people in the world. Mark really understands almost every aspect in depth, and he's been incredibly helpful to us and hundreds of clients and trying to figure out how to utilize and just holding hands sometimes when things get a little. I mean, it's very rare now, but in the earlier days, there were a few shaky times.
Yeah. So I love what I do. I really
kind
do.
of working through the tough times and celebrating the good times.
Yeah. So as always, we have weekly clubhouse calls on Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please join us. We have restaurant operators, digital marketing specialists, media people from all over the world. Please join us on that call. My grandfather taught me to stay curious, to get involved, and to ask for help. So if you're inspired by this conversation, please reach out to these gentlemen. We'll put links into the show notes so that you can do your due diligence. But we always learn by doing. And events like this Restaurant Transformation Tour, it's really cool. It's really inspiring. We hope that you guys continue to put these events on. And thank you for your time.